everyone, welcome back to Autocrat. It's been a little while, but hey, we're getting the hang of this, so you're getting an episode now, and yeah, schedule still completely random. Anyway, this is episode 105 called Religious Reshuffle.
It is. Thank you for that lengthy disclaimer, by the way.
Well, gotta be nice to listeners.
Yeah. Anyway, the episode?
Yes. So, last time that we talked together, Numa Pompilius was elected as king of Rome in 715 BCE, ending the deadlock that had resulted in a year-long interregnum.
Yep.
This time we'll see how Numa deals with being king.
We will indeed. Just a hint, this reign is going to involve a lot less warfare and a lot more religion in terms of its theme than the last one.
It will.
I hope you're excited for admin.
I am excited for admin.
Yeah, you actually are. Okay, we're going to do it source by source, though.
We're starting with me, Cassius Dio.
It's not you.
Numa Pompilius lived on the Quirinal Hill, which we saw recently as the hill where Ercilia was taken into the heavens to become the goddess Hora.
Yeah.
This was apparently because he was a Sabine, but we're not fully exactly sure why this is a specific condition for this.
Yeah, it's just mentioned as, he was a Sabine. Okay then.
In any case, he officially lived on the Sacred Way. This was the main street in Rome, which passed through a lot of religiously important sites. He spent a lot of time near the Temple of Vesta.
She's the one of the Vestal Virgin fame, by the way.
Okay, cool. Numa Pompilius also spent a lot of time out in the country.
Okay. Our next source is Livy.
Yes, our next source is Livy. Numa wanted some way of controlling the population as they had been growing lax in their moral standards and were a bit of a rabble.
Yeah, so unexpected given that Rome was founded by a bunch of bandits close on 40 years earlier. So surprising.
Yeah. Well, he planned to introduce piety and God-fearing nature as a way of calming everyone down.
Yeah, he tried yoga, it didn't work.
Yeah, not sure how installing fear is going to calm people, but I guess it can.
Well, people don't do bad things because they think that religiously there's going to be a punishment for it, is the idea.
Alright.
I think. Now, by the way, in order to prepare the way for this sort of piety, Numa claimed that he met up with the goddess Egeria during the night in order to blur the boundaries between the real and the divine for the people. I mean, equally, Livy tells the story himself as if it's completely true later on, so who knows if he made this up or if it's real.
Well, we'll save this for another time anyway.
We will.
Numa's first order was to reform the calendar.
Like I said, admin.
Yay! He ordained that the year should be divided into 12 months. Good so far. He also added some extra months. Why? Because 12 months would not completely fill out the year. Okay, so he orders 12 months and then he's like, let's add some more.
I mean, when you put it like that, probably he ordered 12 months of a set number of days and then realised, we can't fill this. We can't fit everything in.
I mean, how do they even figure out a year is however many days it is?
How
did they figure that out?
I'm assuming, I haven't looked into this, so this is speculation time here. But I'm guessing it's to do with how the stars kept reappearing in the same alignment every so often.
So they would have to just... Anyway, this is...
I didn't prepare for astronomy with Vincent Cassie.
Well, you should have.
Yeah, I should have.
Anyway, this way the plan was that they would form a complete cycle every 20 years.
Sure. I mean, it's not perfect in terms of a system, but it's a start.
He also dictated that there were certain days in the year where you could carry out business and days where you could not.
That's the weekend. He's invented the weekend.
Or bank holidays.
Yeah, I guess so.
He also mostly ruled over the priesthood of most of the gods himself. However, he knew that Rome was a warlike society and that kings who came after him would likely as not be more like Romulus than like himself.
Yeah, less religion and calendar, more punchy.
These kings would often be away and therefore unable to carry out their religious duties. So he appointed a priest for Jupiter and creating priestly societies for Mars and for Quirinus, the divine Romulus.
Nice.
He also brought the custom of the Vestal Virgins to Rome, having begun in Alba Longa as a custom.
Okay.
The money for the priestesses came from the treasury, and the women were made holy by certain restrictions, such as chastity being put upon them.
Yeah, remember that this was what got Rhea Ilia in so much trouble.
I do remember that, actually.
Which also confuses me, because that means the Vestal Virgins were around before Numa Pompilius, but anyway. Oh wait, that's an Alba Longa, isn't it? Yeah, never mind.
He also brought in the Salai, or so-called leaping priest, honoring Mars to Rome.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Salii, saltation is a word for jumping.
There were 12 of them in all, and among the things they needed to do was to carry out the sacred and Celia shields.
Right, carry some shields.
Yeah. One of these was supposed to have fallen from the sky.
Ooh.
As they carried the shields through the city, they were meant to sing songs in time to the triple beat of their dancing.
Nice.
Numa also appointed a Pontifex Maximus.
Yeah, basically the head priest of Rome.
So basically the Pope.
I mean, the Pope, one of the Pope's titles is still Pontifex Maximus. It's why...
no, that's why I'm saying that.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just saying that because of head priest.
No, because I know what Pontifex Maximus means. You never cease to tell me that.
Yeah, we've probably had this discussion on air before as well.
And out of air, many times.
Out of air? Off air?
Yes.
Yes.
Now, this Pontifex Maximus was a member of the Senate called Numa Marcius, who was the son of Marcus.
Right.
This Pontifex was given powers by Numa. This included decreeing which animals were to be killed and sacrificed, deciding on all religious matters, both private and public, in terms of how to conduct religious functions, and teaching people on how to bury the deceased properly.
Yeah, so basically he's made head religious honcho.
So basically he's the Pope.
Basically.
For information on what omens meant, Numa made an altar to Jupiter on the Aventine Hill, and Jupiter was asked via bird omens what omens should be used by the Roman people.
Okay, basically it's a bird form of Morse code here.
Yeah, kind of. All of this meant that the Romans had a lot to occupy their minds now and distract them from war. The religious stuff began to sink in, and this manifested itself in things such as oaths having more force than they used to have. People imitated the virtuous Numa, and Rome began to be seen by its neighbours as less a warlike city and more a worship-focused settlement. The idea of fighting Rome began to be seen as sacrilegious.
I mean, I suppose that is another form of protection rather than war.
Yeah. Numa ruled for 43 years, meaning he would be ruling between... You did the math there.
Well, I did. 715 and 672 BCE.
Good job. On the spot, just like that.
Yeah, I definitely didn't write it down.
Numa then died at the age of about 81, leaving a radically altered Rome behind him.
Nice. So that's Livy.
Yep. Our next source, which you're going to take over, is the Chronicle of the Roman Republic.
Yep. Numa also made official boundaries of Rome's territory in addition to all this other stuff he'd been doing. Romulus had been too scared to do this because if he did, well, it would become obvious to his neighbours quite how much land he'd actually nicked. There's nothing like a boundary to tell you the boundaries have moved. Numa had 5 children, 4 sons and a daughter. And we know something about them.
We do?
Details. Each one of these went on to establish a big Roman family. One of his sons was Calpus, founder of the Calpurnian family. I believe they come back into our story later, but way later, so I don't know if I'll actually remember it when they do. Another son was Mamercus, whose nickname was Aemilius.
Yes, it makes so much sense.
He got this nickname because he was a good speaker. I'm sure there's an etymology behind it. Anyway, the Aemilian family descend from him, perhaps unsurprisingly. Centuries down the line, apparently one of their cognomens, so like Caesar for example in Gaius Julius Caesar, would still be Rex, meaning king. So as an example, Marcus Aemilius Rex, which is fun. A millennium after Numa Pompilius died, Romans were still showing off what was reputed to be the House of Numa on the Quirinal Hill, and he passed into legend. Numa also founded the Temple of Janus, with the famous doors which were open when Rome was at war and closed when they were at peace.
Yeah, I remember telling you about that.
Yeah, well, this is when they show up. Numa's reign saw them always closed, by the way. For context, in the whole Republican period, they only closed once.
Wow.
Yeah. Very peaceful time. Do you want to take Plutarch or shall I?
I will take Plutarch.
Okay.
He's a cool guy.
Okay.
The Vestal virgins were required to be celibate for 30 years.
Oh yeah, more Vestal detail.
During the first 10 years, they would learn religious rituals. The second 10 years, they would perform them, and the third year, they would teach them.
Okay.
They could marry and live normal lives after that. During their cloistered life, they were rewarded by privileges, such as being allowed to write up wills while their fathers were still alive.
Now, I assume this is because their fathers would have had charge of their wills otherwise.
Probably.
Which, not great. I mean, otherwise, this privilege was only for a woman who had 3 children. So
it's very specific.
Big deal. Well, it's probably 3 or more, but
Maybe. Now, if they accidentally met a criminal who was about to be killed, his life would be spared.
Pretty nice for the criminal.
Yeah. The Sali came about in the 8th year of Numa's reign, so 707 BCE.
Oh, the jumping people.
There was a plague in this year, and a bronze shield fell into Numa's hand from the sky.
Oh yeah, we did mention that. I didn't realise that Numa caught it.
Egeria and the Muses told him this was a gift from the heavens to help. He commanded 11 others be made like it in order to keep it safe.
Yep, which they did.
Those shields were then entrusted to priests.
Not enrusted, as I just put.
He spelled that wrong. He spelled that wrong.
I can't type today. I mean, basically I assume the existence of this shield stopped the plague, which we just mentioned, and acted to protect the city, because Plutarch never comes back to this.
Alright. The calendar had been erratic in Romulus's day, with months being uneven. Some months had 20 days, some 35 or more, and there was no celestial logic to this.
Oh, that would play havoc with my brain so much.
The current calendar plays havoc with your brain anyway.
Yeah, it does.
Numa worked out the cycles of the lunar and solar year and made a day with 365 days.
Okay, we have the year length sorted.
The months added up to 354 days, and there was an extra month in every other year.
Right.
This month had 22 days and was called Mercedinus.
Okay.
He moved March from the first month to the third, with January and February going from 11 and 12 to 1st and 2nd.
Right.
Now, some say that the year only had 10 months to begin with, just as some grupos...
I think that's meant to say groups.
He spelled that wrong. He spelled that wrong.
Just as some groups only have 3, 4 or 6 or even 1 in Egypt.
Okay.
The fact that the Romans had 10 months is evidenced by the months' names up to December, which was the last.
Yeah. July and August used to be Quintilis and Sextilis, by the way, or literally months 5 and 6.
Yes. Plutarch goes into a lot of etymological detail we will ignore here,
Yeah,
sadly.
The point is basically, the year's changed, it's cool, moving on.
Numa died of old age and slow declining. At his funeral, the senators carried the body and a whole host of mourners followed. His body would not be burned as was usual, but instead buried in a stone coffin in the Janiculum hill. Another stone coffin of sacred text was laid next to him as he had ordered. Now, this might have been philosophical or sacred text.
Yeah. Now, supposedly, much later in the consulship of Publius Cornelius and Marcus Baebius, I didn't think to check when that was, the coffins were uncovered due to heavy rain. One of them was found to contain the books, but the body was absent from the other.
I mean, it would have decomposed, I guess.
Yeah, maybe, probably. I was going to say spooky, but probably. The books were read, deemed to have contents not suitable to be made public, and were burnt.
Alright.
Now, Numa is the penultimate king to die of natural causes, still as king, and the last to die non-violently. His successor will scorn his peaceful values, but we will get to all that later down the line. Now, as I said with the previous source, Numa had 4 sons.
No mention of a daughter there.
Yep.
Rude.
One of them was Mamercus, named after, apparently, the son of Pythagoras, who was jokingly given the epithet of Emilius by his father, again, because he was a good speaker, and his daughter is mentioned, actually. His daughter is the mother of a certain Ancus Marcius. You might want to remember his name.
I won't.
Okay, well, you might want to forget his name and then say you remember it when he comes back, because he does. Good. So, we move on to Dionysus of Halicarnassus, or as you keep calling him, John. Now, John says there is one story of a Vestal virgin called Tucia being falsely accused of impurity. Calling on Vesta to help her, she demonstrated she was innocent by drawing up water from the Tiber in a sieve and pouring it at the feet of the pontiffs in the forum. The man who had accused her vanished and was never seen again.
Oh.
The pontiffs, by the way, enforced the rules of the Vestals. There are 6 Vestal virgins, although Numa initially only had 4, and as we've said, they serve the goddess Vesta. The Janiculum, by the way, the hill where Numa was buried, was across the river from the rest of Rome. Basically, Dionysus only gives us little details that fill out the rest of the story. And one final little detail about the Vestals from a more modern source is that apparently they come from the most important families in the city of Rome.
What?
So, that's mostly the reign of Numa Pompilius dealt with. It's a lot of admin and a lot of religion. However, there is an aspect of it we're going to go into more detail in next time.
Yes.
Namely, the story of this goddess, or sometimes nymph, Egeria. Is it real that Numa met her, or is it not?
I guess you'll have to stick around to find out.
You will indeed. So, until then, thank you all for listening, everyone, and have a great week, millennium, eon, plank time, second,
Those
something.
aren't my lines.
Yeah, well, I took them.
Have a great time, everyone.
Have a great time. Can't stop me stealing your lines.